All right, so hello everybody. How's everybody doing? Good, very good. All right, so very briefly, because I don't want to take up Johnny's time, but back in 2007, I was teaching a couple of classes at night at a school in Boston after working a fairly long day as a graphic and web designer. And I just wanted to come in and sort of take a little nap in my cubicle before I had to go teach. But on the other side of the cubicle was this disembodied voice of this very nice person who was staying into the wee hours of the night working with students, helping them learn about all things video and audio. And I had heard the voice, unbeknownst to me, on the radio and didn't know who the person was. And so for an entire semester, just sort of kept hearing this voice on the other side of the cubicle. Well, I ended up staying there for a while and got to know Joni. And found out the one thing that was immediately evident that first time I heard her voice with that student is that she immensely cares about her students and how they fit into the world and how they learn things and their place in the sort of technological world we live in right now. And so it's not an entire accident that she went ahead and made this eventually. And so I'm proud to know her. And yes. I usually rely on my very big voice. And so I'm proud to know her and happy that you guys get a chance to hear this and see the video. So take it away, Jen.
Oh, thank you. So, yeah, so I just wanted to give you that little preview. This just literally started out to go to Chris. It was 2006, and how old were you? 12, 10. How old were you in 2006? 6. How old were you in 2006? 7? You were that young. Okay, so right when you were that young was when the world started to change. And the college kids were behaving in an interesting way. And so one kid literally came in the room. He had a Verizon flip phone. You guys didn't even have phones at the time, right? Threw the phone across the room, and he looked up at me, and he's going, "I'm telling you, when we start communicating with our thumbs, we're in trouble." And I'm like, "That's so interesting. What's happening?" And he's like, "The frickin' girls with the texting." And this was the old Verizon flip phones with the texting, not even the new ones. "Come on in. Come and sit close with us. Come in and be warm and fuzzy." And so that was my first kind of inkling, like, ooh, our world is changing. And then by 2007, that's when well, we had to have Facebook before it even went out to the public. So we have chairs down here too. Come, you can be nice and close. There's one right here, right here, right here. So 2006, we had Facebook. And I'm like, this is so interesting. I've been on the radio my whole life, and this is so weird. How is this going to work out that now everybody has a public voice, right? And so by 2007, my interpersonal communication classes were literally turning into 2.5 hours of Facebook therapy because nobody quite knew how we were going to do things with this new world. So that just got me very intrigued, and I just made one change in the way I was asking my students about how they felt about the changing world. And instead of saying, if I said, "What do you think about the new technology?" what would you say? It's cool, right? It can do, right? There's anyone doing the new Google Pixel 3 camera? Hear about that? All right, so that's the new, so it can be very cool. But the other question is not so much what do you think about it and the technology, but to start to ask yourselves, how do you feel? And so when you ask an intellectual question, you get an intellectual response. Hang on, let me think about that. But when you ask an emotion-based question, how do you feel? It's usually an emotional response, correct? We're going to empower you guys to change the world because you have to remember, the 18 to 25-year-olds, you guys are the trendsetters. And if we educate you and fill you in on what's literally happening to you with anxiety and everything else, then you can start a new trend. And I always say the second the college kids say, yeah, we're not texting anymore, talking is cooler than texting, you've just changed the world because 50-year-olds want to be you and 13-year-olds want to be you. So you have the power, just letting you know.
I'm not sure exactly who said it or what the direct quote was, but I know someone at Apple had said that they don't want the iPhone to be your life. They want it to be a tool that you can use for some things. And so with the new update, they actually initiated something called screen time. And it locks the phone on certain, so you can either do just social media
Right.
or whatever it is, and it locks your phone and tells you you've been on your phone for an hour today, and it just locks you out.
Okay, and what do you guys think of that?
I use it. I like
Okay.
it.
Yeah, because you don't trust yourself?
Well, if I set it to 2 hours, and then in the middle of the day, it's like you've been on your social media for 2 hours,
Okay.
that's alarming. So
Okay.
I let it lock me out. I don't ask for any more time or anything like that.
Because you say the 2 hours you feel is alarming. So you're now kind of saying that more time on social media doesn't seem to be a healthy thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's great. And if that's working, they didn't take this on themselves. They didn't say, hey, we just grew a moral fiber. I think we should do this. They were under an immense amount of pressure to do something almost the exact same way that the big tobacco who created their engineered addiction had to step up and do something, or else it would affect their product. So how genuine is that? I'm not sure. I was contacted by ABC, who was doing the story on that, and if it works, great. I think there's so much more we can do. We have to start admitting that Silicon Valley, Google, gaming, certain gaming, I mean, it is created to be addictive. It just is. And our society isn't even there yet by saying that out loud.
I have that on my phone too, and I think it's really interesting because
do it up because I think they're recording.
At the end of the week, it'll tell you like the total time you spent on like each kind of app, like games, social media, like the total time you spent all week. And like the first time I saw it, when I had first updated my phone, it really shocked me because like you look at it and like you don't think like, oh, I spent this time on Instagram today, let me add up the minutes and like let me add them up all week. But like you see that number at the end and it just kind of makes you realize how much you actually do use your phone. And it definitely made me want to like not use my phone as much. And then I set, like Luke said, the locks that you can set, and like it's helped me. I think.
Good. So we updated, and in the book and with the film and as part of the courses that I teach, we've upgraded this from a digital cleanse, and we now call it the No App for Life Challenge. And it's a free download that anybody can use. And our thing was, first of all, I'm taking this to middle schools and high schools to address the younger crowd. The 8th graders are amazing when we talk to them. They really are hurting. When you have 14-year-old girls being overly sexually overt on Instagram, and you guys are probably remembering what you look like at 14, and then you see these sexualized images of 13-year-olds, you're like, oh my God, you know, what is happening to the next generation? And so we're really trying to get out there and educate the next generation, just for your concern. So the No App for Life Challenge, just to go back to what you guys were doing, that's a way of using technology to get you to stop. So our approach is that we're trying to get you, your human apps, right here, they come with you. They're downloaded upon birth, and it's just a matter of you accessing all these awesome human apps that you have. And what we're trying to do is get you to be more mindful as you're using it, and to being able to say, what is this doing to me? So not only am I on social media for what length of time, how am I feeling while I'm on social media? How does this constant comparison to other people's lives make me feel? Does it make me feel happy? Does it pull me down a little bit? We now have statistics where anxiety, depression, and suicide is skyrocketing. Suicide rates were on the decline for the past 25 years, and they just started going up again in 2012, 2013. And the demographic that's being affected the most by that are 12 to 18-year-old girls, with an increase in suicide. So this is my mission. You know, I cannot handle seeing this and just turning a blind eye to some of these effects. So sorry, I just kind of get a little pedantic there. Go ahead. Yes.
Beyond texting, I have an addiction of listening to, reading, watching the news, constantly trying to see what's going on.
I'm with you.
I don't know if you know that old Andrew Weil, that New Age guru.
Yes. Yep. Very well.
He says in order to start healing yourself, you have to stop having any access to news for 8 weeks. But it's a contradiction for me, because I feel if I'm not paying attention, that I'm not being educated and I'm not being connected that way.
Right. So I keep trying to bring us all back to Human 101, right? So we have to start to think about the human first and then the tech second. And because everything is happening so very fast, the question is asking ourselves, just because we can doesn't mean we should. Just because I can have access to the world 24/7 doesn't mean we should. To get really provocative, just because 12-year-old boys have a smartphone with access to porn 24/7, does that mean that it's good? But nobody's really addressing some of these bigger thinking issues, because every time we turn around, instead of saying, what is it doing to us? How is our media consumption shaping us as individuals and as a society? And so those are the questions. We're in higher ed, so I'm hoping everyone's thinking in a higher way, you know, not just it's cool, it can do this. Well, can we think about the cost of convenience? Right? What is the cost of this convenient thing that we have access to? You know, and then really weighing it. And so how are you feeling after watching a lot of news? I literally I challenged myself. It took me almost 2.5 hours to get up here today. I was like, I'm not turning on anything. And I was like, I'm just going to think. I'm just going to be with myself, not be by myself, but be with myself. What do I want to think about? So I'm like writing articles in my head, you know, and I think you saw Mike there saying, sometimes I think people are afraid of the free time. How many of you end up not wanting to hear your own inner voice? Right? Are you like, shut up, stop, just stop talking, right? So we do turn to things that can quiet that, instead of how can I learn to deal with my anxiety? What are the strategies that I need? How many of you, you don't even have to say if it's you, know somebody who might use your phone, as I say, scroll to sleep? Anybody know that? Right? So this scrolling to sleep is a way of we're taking in these mediated messages and where this dopamine kick. And so what's literally happening is Silicon Valley has been sort of programming us. So we've got 22, 23-year-old programmers in Silicon Valley literally programming the populace. They're doing these interesting little things like holding back all your likes and timing it out. So instead of a beat to have you look at your phone, it's literally the chemicals in your body are telling you you need to look. So what's happening is you have these stress hormones, chemicals called cortisol. Those are your stress chemicals. And so the longer you've been without your phone or checking on whatever, your cortisol is, right? You start to get that feeling. You're like, and then you go to look at your phone to who needs me? And you're literally saying those words, who needs me? Who wants me? And then conversely, what happens if you don't have any messages? What is your inner voice saying? Nobody wants me. Nobody needs me. Let me try again, right? So it's very conditioned. And so now the folks in Silicon Valley, they don't want you to have alerts. They are literally doing these testing to see how much time it's going to take before the average person will have to look. And it's about 12 minutes. And so now they're holding back some of your likes and they're just releasing them all like in 12-minute spurts to make you constantly look. You have to remember, like, they're all about the eyeballs. The thing that's freaking me out, and let me ask you guys if you guys like this. Anybody getting ads now from your voice activated? Are we good with this? Do you guys know what we're talking about?
Like Alexa?
Not even Alexa, just your phone is opening up a mic. And so if I was talking to you about black boots,
And then they show up on your Instagram?
yeah,
Yep.
just voice. So I'm like, I'm sorry, when did that come out to the public for us to decide whether or not we were wanting that? But somewhere you just hit the I agree. And so are we really thinking about, we just keep going along with it? It's like, it's very strange. It's like, who's controlling us? And we're just kind of going, oh, I guess it's too big for me to handle.
For like iPhone users, it's pretty scary because if you have Siri on, she's always on and
Yeah.
she's always listening. Like I could just have my phone on the table and I could say like serious in a conversation and she'll pop up and be like, what can I, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, she's really always listening. You know, and Alexa's the same way. Like I had one of those little Alexa things and I would be talking to my roommate and then all of a sudden she would turn on and be like, I don't understand what you're saying. And then I'm like, oh my God, I gotta unplug it because she's actually listening to what I'm saying.
Right,
And
right.
then like you go on your phone and like you're scrolling through Instagram and it's like an ad for what you were just talking about.
Right.
Or like something you just searched on Amazon and now it's on your Instagram.
Who knew?
And it's really freaky.
All right, this is just getting off topic here, but I was driving, and I'm driving a lot these days, so I had my GPS on, but I was listening to Aziz Ansari's book, Modern Romance. My next film is going to be on intimacy in your generation, so let me know if anyone wants to. So he's narrating it. I have my GPS up, and he's narrating it, and literally he goes, F Tinder. And all of a sudden, the GPS lady comes on and she goes, the real word, F Tinder. I cannot help you with that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oh my God. So I was like, this is really bizarre. So I'm not sure how you guys feel about this, but you know, I think the question on tech ethics should probably be raised a little bit more. I was just in New York City this past week, and I was asked to moderate a think tank, a tech ethics think tank on fake news. So I had the Wall Street Journal, we had Harvard Business, you know, so I'm moderating this, you know. But I think a very long overdue conversation to say, how should we proceed ethically?
Well, even when you're using maps, like, and you go somewhere, it'll just randomly pop up and be like, it'll take you 15 minutes to get home from where you are, and you're not even on the app.
Right, right. So I am old. I will not be around. But you guys, this is your world. Mm-hmm. This is your world. These are going to be your children. And I mean, I've been hearing more and more from the college students going, I'm more concerned about my 12-year-old brother and sister. I'm more concerned about the next generation. So my question is, what can I do? What can I say? Where can we go to empower you to feel like you can actually control? You are the consumer. You have more power than you believe to move forward in the kind of world that would make you happier.
So I'm a mom, and I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, and we love technology.
Mm-hmm.
We have all that. We have Alexa and Siri, and they're talking to each other, and everything's great. As a mom, one of the first questions I had was, what is technology going to look like once my son is old enough. He's already asking for a phone, right? He's not going to get it. But there are pieces and parts where, you know, having we have an app, my husband and I do, that just shows where we are located. We love it because it helps us to understand, oh, you're still at this meeting, you're not going to be home for dinner. Or, oh, you know, she's on her way home, she's halfway, you know, from work. So it's been helpful to us to organize our family. I want one of those things implanted in my kid. I want to know where he is and what he's doing.
Okay, so I really want to address that, if you don't mind. I speak to parents all the time. When I've been talking to kids or high school kids, the first thing they do is when they see this, they blame the parents. Well, the parents should just say no. The parents should, right. I'm also a mom, okay? That was my kid in the film, the kid that grew up without any texting, okay? It was only because, and it's not because I was some brilliant thing, I was learning as parents, we parent by consensus, right? We went like, oh, what are you doing? You're doing unlimited? Okay, I'll do unlimited. We did not know, so I'm not ever about to blame parents at all. We were also the post 9/11 parents and the post Columbine parents. So as a parent, there is nothing scarier in this contemporary world than having a frame of reference that something could happen to your kid and going, you have to have this phone. This will keep you safe. And it's a false floor, but there's something about it that's making parents feel like you have to have this, like Taylor was saying in the film. My mom's like, this is your phone. You have to have it. I have to be, okay. So I understand that, and I'm never about finger wagging at parents. The thing is, again, can we think higher? Okay? Here's the stats. All of our snow plowing and covering and watching our kids, it has had a negative effect on our children. Okay? Soft skills are down. 60%, this is your generation, 60% of employers now feel that college students, college graduates, lack the soft skills to succeed in the workforce. It has affected autonomy. So as much as you want to keep tethered to your child because it'll make you feel better, the thing is, kids need to separate.
Absolutely.
And
that's
so
my second part, which is, but we have to set all these limits,
right.
because otherwise they will become just glued to their devices,
right.
or
And
the
so
TV.
this is, yeah. And
So it's this struggle as a parent.
Problems today, if everyone thinks it's just black and white, this is why we have conversations, to elevate the conversation. The one thing I'd like, and just to finish that, the 18-year-olds today are now closer emotionally to 15-year-olds. So if you're dealing with young graduates or first-year students coming in, this constant hovering and having moms doing everything for your kid was a disservice, because it has had our college student body a lot less autonomous and independent and self-sufficient. You know, we want to be able to feel like you guys can walk through life, you know, walking down the street and feeling, I got all the apps I need. I can handle my life. I got all these human apps, and I can problem solve, and I can figure things out. And we have to keep encouraging some of our human development more than keep constantly turning to some augmented piece of equipment to be human. And the question that I had at this tech ethics seminar, and maybe you guys can give me the answer, because all those big brains didn't have it. Is there anything moving forward that we need to say, this has to be inherently only human? Is there something? Because when I'm listening to game developer people talking about developing games and characters with empathy, so that way, if you're empathetic with your character and you develop a relationship, the psychologist in me, my inner psychologist, I'm going, I'm sorry. So if somebody comes in and it's going, hello, I'm having a problem with my cube and I, we're like not getting along, you know. I don't know what that's going to lead to, but I know that it's changing so fast that if we don't take a pause, and if you guys don't really stop and think, what do I want? So the reason why I'm working on my next film during the intimacy thing is because the stories on the hookups and getting the love that everybody wants is getting very upsetting. Oops, sorry about that. It's really upsetting, you know. It's a little risque, so I'm not going to talk about some of the details, but I hear everything about what's going on, and what I'm finding is it's not making people happy. So I'm just all about improving health, well-being, development, and being able to say the technology is great. Can we stop and think about what it is we want to bring in before we just jump into it? And let me give you a perfect example. Anybody wearing Google glasses today? Do you know why? Do you know what Google glasses are? Right? Why aren't you guys wearing them?
Because it failed in like user trials, right?
Yeah, you know why? You guys. You know what you said? Anyone who wore them? You were a glass hole. That was it. And so when I'm telling you, the reason why you guys have more power than anyone, as soon as the young kids went, they're not cool. Not cool. They went away. So it is so up to you to decide what is cool and what is not cool. I think humans are cooler than tech. That's just me. I love humans. So this is going to be up to you. You can take back your world, and you can absolutely decide what is cool, what is uncool. That was a step over the boundary of privacy, right? The Google Glass, you know, that's too close. But it's going to be up to us to decide. You know, social norms are fluid, so we can change. We can make the world that we want, because if we stick together and we go, let's decide what we want. Thoughts? I don't know where we are on time.
Let me check my phone. I had a beeper set to go off.
Oh, okay. Yes.
No, it's 11:58.
Oh,
So yeah,
good.
we
Okay.
need to wrap up.
Okay.
quickly,
One quick question. So, we have a whole public health class here. And
Oh, where are
and
you?
There's a bunch.
Ah, there
yeah.
they are.
And our topic that was student driven was mental health on campus, and so we're taking the first half of the semester to sort of research where that is. So this
Yeah.
is part of our research today.
Oh, this is so good. I
Yeah.
got so much stuff for you.
Yeah,
Let me
and
know what you
then
need.
we're gonna proceed, the last few weeks to develop an action plan. So I just was wondering if you have any thoughts
Yes,
on where we go.
You know what I do in my interpersonal communication class? We do the No App for Life challenge for a week. And so it's a little bit different than this, and you can have it. So so what we learned, you're already panicking, you're doing like this, twitching a little bit. We'll bring your moms in. That's the biggest thing. We have to educate the parents. But here's the deal. So I've been doing this, this was done in 2011, 2012, 2013. I've been doing this every year. And the research is absolutely consistent. We've tweaked it. So instead of these kids went totally cold turkey, zero, no. So what we did is we call it the No App for Life Challenge. And you take all your apps, okay, and you put them in a folder on your phone, so you can only use your phone in case of an emergency. But the goal is not about can you hold your breath long enough and how long can you go without it. The goal is a compare and contrast study. How does it feel in my mental health well-being? How do I feel going more authentic in my communicating? So we teach non-judgmental listening. How do I feel if somebody's listening to me empathetically? So you journal, and we have a scale 0 to 10 on your anxiety level on every day. But the whole thing isn't about how long can I go without it. It's about learning about yourself and your writing. And you want to find out, how do my relationships change? How do my relationships change when I'm giving my friend this non-judgmental time to just listen to him? Can I just listen? So you're improving your patience. You're creating stronger bonds. You're being more self-reliant. So it's a week of not thinking about it as going without, but going within. So if you want to do it, we've got all the prompting questions are there, and you can write it, or you can do it like this. You can't? You're going, I can't. Already? I can't.
Like, no, I'm thinking just like athletic standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
We have an app that's called Team Up, and it tells us like when practices, lift, like
Right.
when we're departing for games, and like all those things.
So then we could take it, we go, okay, maybe this is the only one I'm going to use.
Okay.
And maybe not social media, but like maybe I'll do. So you want to think, is this, so we want to separate it from utility apps. You know, if you want a calculator on your phone, you know, that's not an addictive thing unless you're driving and you're going, oh my God, I must divide. I have to hurry up and divide, you know. That's not addictive. That's a utility app. And so as long as, you know, your team aren't doing cleavage shots going, leaving soon, you know, that might be different. So we want to take every piece of technology and really see how it's working in our lives. But we know that the addictive stuff, you can take a break from that. Okay?
I hate to end this because I want this to be the beginning of the conversation, not the end of this conversation, but we do have to wrap up. But thanks so much to Joni.
Thank you for having me.